Welcome back to Astromanics with your hostesses with the mostesses, Lacey and Mary.
Hello.
Hello. And today we have a special guest who I am very, 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 very very excited to interview. And that is Stella Von Domme. Hello, Stella.
Hello.
So you and I met at a Pleasure Pros little get together. Mm-hmm. Yes, through Sex Positive Portland, a place where people go to comfortably talk about sex and sex-related things that we like to do.
Excellent organization. Really good group.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then you yourself are a kink educator, yes?
Yes, I am.
Ooh. So how did you even get into that? Did you grow up going, you know what? I want to be a kink educator when I grow up.
OMG. No, if you would have asked 10 years ago me that if they could see me doing what I'm doing now, I would have just been like, you are on something, share,
Yeah.
because this is not where I saw my life going. No, it just sort of happened organically through experiences with partners. And my first education event actually happened. My first time teaching was at a convention.
Oh my God.
Someone dropped out and my friends had seen me do some stuff with my play partner and they're like, oh, you should teach that. I'm like, can I? Really? And I did. And it was still to this day the best class I've ever taught. It was just amazing. So been on the high ever since then.
Oh my God. Amazing. That's amazing. I love that story.
Yeah.
You know, I was just walking around and somebody was like, I like what you're doing there. Can you do that for us?
Right.
Like, Sure.
No, it was great. So now I lean into more teaching people about like new people, how to get in here and do this stuff safely and how to handle themselves and whatnot, because I'm the mama bear type. So I like to try and take care of people.
Oh my God.
But you probably already know that. So
yes. Because you're double Cancer, sun and rising. It's really funny that you say that. So let's share your chart. So Mary and I can start talking about it. What do you say?
Perfect.
Yeah, Mary's going to be all, oh my God, of course.
Well, even just Taurus moon would affect that too, let alone a bunch of Cancer.
Right. Okay. And now I need to make sure we can see my cursor because I know sometimes it doesn't want to, you can see it moving around.
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, you mentioned mama bear type. That would be the sign of Cancer. You are a Cancer rising and a Cancer sun. That is double mama bear. That is like big nurse energy, right? That's like, I'm going to give you this shot. It's for your health, right? This will make you better. Also, Cancers tend to be really good at like business stuff. Like they usually tend to be really good with money and like knowing where things are going. And they're like really good with knowing where the flow is going, if that makes sense. Did you say that business is also somewhat natural?
Parts of it, the financial part. I mean, I'm better with other people's stuff than my own.
Oh yeah.
So that's a thing, but ish. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the ish. But yeah, that's that Cancer. Cancer also has like knows where flow is going, as in almost like a psychic sense. Like there's a strong intuition with water signs, and Cancer in particular is like, I can read it on your face. I can see it on your face, and you can initiate where to go next as you're, with a person.
That part, both personally, like emotionally, intellectually, as well as within a business. Like I'm really good with like project management kind of stuff, knowing where I need to go and all the steps to get there. So being able to predict all the bad stuff or the roadblocks and stuff. So that's my groove for sure.
Yeah, interesting. That is super Cancerian energy. Every time I'm around and I there's a Cancer in the room and I start talking about business and like I don't know where to go, a Cancer sun, moon, or rising will be all, what about this? Blah, blah, blah. And they like just kind of have ideas that I don't have. personally. So cancers are awesome in that way. Mary, you got any Cancer sun, Cancer rising thoughts?
I was looking at Leo, totally Leo.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Right, because double Cancer, first house, right?
Yeah.
Very empathetic, probably picks up everybody's feelings like a sponge, right? Especially because it's right there on your body.
Mm-hmm.
But this Leo resource is kind of cool for somebody who wants to be kind of on a stage and teaching,
Yes.
right? That means it's a resource. Plus, your Saturn is here. That's life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Venus and Mercury speaking,
Mm-hmm.
right, in front of people. So this is a really cool house of resources. It means like have fun and be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yes. I've also noticed that people with Saturn and Leo, and they are into kink, often like to be tied up, to be restricted, or to restrict somebody else. That
Yeah.
in front of people.
Yeah. I have never been restrained, and that's something I'm wanting to experience just to experience it.
Yeah.
But no, I was trying to get into like the fun, pretty rope, but I really just like immobilizing people, just making people stuck and doing things to them. So that's a lot of fun.
What's your favorite thing that you've ever done? Like you got somebody in a stuck moment.
So there's so many different things. My partner and I, we had put together this game called Operation, and it's just like the old 80s game, Operation, with the dude and the zapping and stuff, because we do a lot of electric too. So I like to take someone and use cellophane and stick them to a table, and just wrap them onto a table. And I made these little the game pieces out of pipe cleaners that are made of Mylar. So whenever you touch them, they zap. And so they were stuck inside of that, and we have to cut open the skin, which is the cellophane, and go in and pull it out. It's really theatrical. It's absolutely hilarious. I just like doing playful stuff like that, and that is probably the most enjoyable because everyone, including the person and everyone around us, can enjoy it. So
yeah,
fun.
Oh my God, that's genius. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I like playing with electricity too for what it can do. Like, I like to tell a story to the person and then like pretend like I'm cutting them open and taking out heaviness, doing surgery. So it's really interesting that you say that, because like that's something that I'm like, oh my God, I love it. And then electricity. So Uranus here in your 5th house of sex for fun and sex for pleasure. Uranus is the planet of shocking, electric epiphanies too, and also the sign of independence. So it's kind of like you like to be the independent, and then Scorpio is sexual, deeply investigative too. So it's kind of like a part of your sex for fun and sex for pleasure would be electric, shocking. So surprising the person in a fun and playful way. And also in a way that maybe you like a little bit of fear in their eyes, just a little, like just a little. What are they going to do? And then I find that people who have Uranus in these houses here, like the 7th house, 8th house, and 5th, if they've worked with electricity at all, they like to use it. Right? They like to use it on others, on other people. So I thought that's really interesting as well, to have Uranus in your 5th house of fun, of shocking. And then what I'm sure Mary has noted is that you have this horseshoe looking thing here called a north node in the sign of Scorpio.
A north node?
A north node, Node.
Gotcha.
They're my favorite. They're karmic indicators, right? So for you, it's like the freakier the better, like to push boundaries. And because this means that in other lifetimes you've mastered Taurus, which is comfortable and content and doesn't really want to push boundaries, wants to stay almost conservative because it doesn't like change as much, right? It can really dig its heels in. You have a Taurus moon, you know this,
Mm.
you're bringing in those Taurus gifts from past lives too, right? So that some of that mama bear stuff is Taurus, right? Wants to nurture and take care of the people around them. So you bring up the five senses, right? Like really knowing how to like yummy food, clothes, blankets, things like that. Okay, so Taurus can be a little bit more conservative naturally, though, and so then in this life, it's saying push boundaries, right? And not like if it feels a little bit too much, then to kind of go deeper, right? That's a little bit of that Scorpio investigative, right? It's kind of driven by, but why? Well, let's see what's underneath that. It's also like death and rebirth, transformation, right? Taurus doesn't always love transformation because it's uncomfortable. Taurus likes cozy. But Scorpio kind of thrives in this kind of constant change, constant evolving kind of place. However, Scorpio still has like privacy needs, right? It might be kind of intense or transformative, but it also has a way of protecting itself that it kind of needs to honor. So with you having a north node here, it would be kind of like exploring all of them, exploring all of those scorpion traits, right? Like pushing boundaries, but being protected, right?
Mhm.
Or and then unconventional, the planet of unconventional sitting next to that. So or unexpected.
Mhm.
So maybe that's unexpected freak flags flying.
Yeah, pretty much most of my life past the age of 35 has been unexpected. So it's it all makes sense.
Right. Perfect. Well, you have the thing that I saw about your chart, obviously, is a lot of energies on this side of the chart, right? So there's different quadrants. This quadrant, first through fourth, is kind of more about ourselves, our immediate community. And when we have planets in these places, it's like we're here to discover about ourselves, to almost be observant of, oh, how does this human act here? And so if you are delving deep or observing yourself and figuring out how you like to move and groove, and there's a focus on that, then you're doing it well.
Good. I'm glad it means something because it's kind of chaotic and a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of that, right? A lot
lot.
of movement. Yeah. And then over here is kind of more like, so this is me, myself. This is me as sort of like a teenager learning and growing, right? Fifth house of sex for fun, sex for pleasure. It's me and another person. Sixth house is every day. Fourth house is like the home I live in, right? So you have a Libra Pluto home, which is kind of like I put beautiful, dark things in my home, beautiful, sexy things in my home. Because
Maybe
Pluto,
taboo things, right?
yeah. But Libra likes pretty.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's kind of this one here. This is fun, pleasure. This is also kind of what we joyfully bring into the world too, right? Like, so my creativity. So being creative with Scorpio vibes, which is deep transformation. It's not just playing with sex positions and genitals, right? It's more like deep, profound transformations, right? Like you thrive and you get joy when you see someone having some sort of profound moment. Do you ever have people tell you that they've had some kind of revelation or like an epiphany?
During play or just in general?
I guess it could be in general. When I think of Scorpio, I think of playing, but yeah.
I mean, I've had the privilege of having clients that were first time players, and I love having Kink babies, you know, taking them fresh out of the box and teaching them. And it's often a really profound experience. You know, it's been really exciting to introduce people or to take what they thought they wanted and move it into a direction of what they, you know, either, yes, you were right, or, you know, really exploring deeper into that and making it a bigger deal than they thought it would be. So yes, I've definitely had those moments with people, and it's awesome.
It's awesome. It gives you like maybe like a zing or a joy or something
for
that you're
sure.
like, God, life is worth this shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is that transformative fifth house. It gives you joy. The other thing that Scorpio can give is like esoteric vibes too, or like tarot cards, because it also gives sort of this witchy, if you will, vibe too with the Scorpio. I don't know if that makes sense too. Like some sort of, do you feel like a witch doctor?
No, I mean, I'm intuitive.
Yeah.
But my daughter is, oh my gosh, sorry, my daughter's a bit witchy, but no, I mean, I've personally not thought of myself as witchy. Yeah, but intuitive, yes, very much.
Yeah, intuitive. Well, now maybe that could be something that'd be interesting. Be like, oh, hey, honey, tell me more about tarot. My daughter taught me about it, you know, so like, or whatever feels like, oh my God, yes, I want to learn that, right? Like that could be an interesting thing to explore because that's a part of Scorpio's wheelhouse, if you will, right? You've done the kink, you've done the sexual, all a part of Scorpio. You've done the, you know, deep investigation, that's that intuitive piece and things like that. Another aspect of Scorpio tends to be people who are like love or are interested in sort of, you know, otherworldly things. I think that's interesting. You mentioned teaching, Sagittarius here. That's kind of like teaching every day, you know, as a part of a routine. And then Neptune here is like teaching fantasy or teaching how to escape normal, mundane. Do you ever teach people how to, what do you teach people? What's your favorite thing to teach?
Oh gosh, I love, I mean, still to this day, my favorite classes are my CBT and anal training classes. Those are great. It's just a lot of fun to introduce people to something that's scary,
Yes.
but try and nudge them into a place that could be very pleasurable.
Oh my gosh. So where do you teach these classes?
I'm actually working on right now making my CBT class or putting together one online, which boggles my mind because I like doing things in person.
Right.
I just taught that at Kink Fest in April, actually, but just wherever I'm able to. I haven't found a venue lately that I've been concentrating more on my Kinkster 101 classes online right now.
Yeah.
It's not something I've looked into.
Okay. But if somebody went to your website, they could find your classes that you teach.
Yeah.
Good. Or like where to be able to learn from you.
Correct.
Good. So the other thing that, Mary, do you have any thoughts? Go.
I was just looking at that Pisces MC. I do think it kind of fits all of the stuff you're saying, right? Like your favorite things to do or teaching. That's in your chart in a day-to-day way. Pushing boundaries, right? Obviously you enjoyed the topics that kind of scare people almost and like helping them through, right? And maybe even turning it into a pleasurable instead of a scary thing. That sounds very Scorpio North Node to me. And then having a stage or having a way to be, you know, communicating with a group of people or an audience of some sort, right? That's all that Leo. So I really love the way that you kind of explored all these areas, you know, like hitting every one of them.
Sweet.
I had a thought about this Virgo Mars here. Because I'm looking right at the barrel of this. I have a Virgo Mars as well. And the Virgo is the sign of the doctor, the prescriber, the refiner, right? I want to refine this. I want this to come from the most purest place, right? Like sex comes from a place of sort of authenticity, feeling good, right? Like come from a place of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Virgo Mars is where it's fucking or fighting in our chart, right? It's like we can fight with definitions. Excuse me, the definition of that is, sometimes like a Virgo Mars I can do that. But it likes to refine, it likes to perfect, right? And so do you find that when you're intuiting into a partner during play, do you find that you can like sort of intuit by reading them and then refine?
I definitely, body reading and person reading is definitely one of my superpowers. I can definitely do that. And during play, I rely on that to be able to know where I'm going and what to do next and how much to do, how less to do. So I suppose, yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know how to describe it, but if I had to describe it, you kind of almost want to describe it and staring intently, like really observing, and dialing it in. Oh, and then also there you might be able to yeah, the feelings, right? So tangibly feeling sort of where where pleasure is happening, right? Like I'm sticking my finger in a hole, like I'm pleasuring it, right? Like if I imagine being in a hole and I'm looking for that hook down, right? I'm looking for that stimulation that makes the person go move and feel, and right? Like I think a Virgo can do that.
I mean, speak of anal training. I mean, you can definitely, there's a button there.
Yeah,
there is a button.
Yeah.
I don't know that I noticed it more tangibly though, or
well, you have
the sensation of them,
right. To you though, it wouldn't occur because to you it is Tuesday. But as a person who I know other people who don't have that same ability, we kind of take for granted our superpowers, our super abilities sometimes. So a Virgo Mars is sort of motivated by being doctor. I mean, you talked about actually making an operation table, right? Like playing the game operation.
Mm-hmm.
That is so Virgo Mars. And that a fellow Virgo Mars, and I also have Uranus in Scorpio, have also used like electricity for surgery,
Mm-hmm.
if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that interesting. That's like a pattern here. Do other Virgo Marses do this? Do you guys like to cut people open and operate?
It's fun.
It's great.
I mean, you made an operation game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So now you know that maybe your fingers feel buttons when you're probing with your probers.
There are some buttons.
Yeah. What buttons have you noticed that you could tell anyone about? Like, what's one button?
Well, I mean, that button in particular, the prostate. I can tell
button.
people right where it is. And yeah, and I highly, highly encourage anyone with a prostate, let that button get pushed, in any means possible. It's a good time.
It's a great time.
A very good time.
Yeah, right? I heartily encourage the same. Please do that. Yeah, so Mars could also get so it's where we're motivated. It's where we can also be like frustrated too. You might be frustrated with doctors in general, but Mars Virgo. So Virgo this is another interesting thing about Virgo. Virgo is also the sign of the Virgin. So Virgo Mars tends to be able to come across as sort of innocent, but not.
I don't at all resemble that at all.
That's why, yeah, right. Tell me more.
I think the mama bearness can mask a lot of things because I'm like, oh, honey, sweetie, and come here, let me hug you, let me take care of you. But if someone were to open, a certain closet or something and happen to walk into a certain room, they would be shocked beyond all reason that, what they would find. Because I just don't put off that air. I don't walk around every day looking like I'm a dominatrix. I don't talk about it very often. If it comes up, I'm very respectful. I don't want to tread on someone else's, issues or whatever. So it's just not something that people are hanging out with me and talking to me and they're going to pick up on. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally interesting. Me too, until then I love to shock them though. I do. I really do.
Well, I mean, as much as it's frowned upon, shocking vanillas is really fun. Let's just say that. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
But don't do it, kids, but
Yeah.
sometimes.
I love that. So Venus in the sign of Leo. So Venus is who we attract, what we're attracted to, but you've got other players that are super close, right? So they all influence each other because they're all in the same bed together. See, Venus is at 7, Saturn's at 5, Mercury's at 5. In fact, I think Mercury and Saturn are currently fucking. They are definitely in each other's holes. And then Venus is kind of watching and encouraging it. And she's being generous with her love as they're doing this dance. You know what I mean? So Mercury and Saturn are interesting because they are conjoined. This combines maturity, right? So Saturn is the planet of maturity, of boundaries, of restriction. Saturn in Leo doesn't really believe in government or like, things that are massively over us, right? Like everything's kind of like, anyway. But so Saturn gives sort of gives hidden. Saturn wants to hide. Saturn doesn't want to be out in the open. But it's in a Leo sign that is out in the open, right? Like is, and so, and then we have Venus in Leo, and Venus tends to be super, super, super generous, over generous to a fault, I will spend and spend and spend on others. But then Leo gives restrictions. So maybe it's nice that you have that Saturn and Leo next to her, or else you might give like everything away, like way too much away.
Right.
Yeah. And then Mercury. So it's like when you are in a tone, do you feel like you give commands that automatically make people want to do what you are asking? Like, because Saturn is kind of the principle of the zodiac, right? And then Mercury is the communicator, the orator, the information relayer of messages, right? Mercury, like with the wings, kind of going and giving messages. So it's kind of like an authoritative person giving messages, giving voice, giving commands. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that's something that's always been fairly easy. Just be able to walk in. Because again, I'm not an asshole about it. I'm
No.
like, hey, would you mind doing this for me? And you're like, oh, sure. People want to help. And so I asked them to do things that would help. Or, there have been sometimes projects that have been taken care of and weren't. And so because I want to be a martyr, I walk in and I take care of it and pick it up and put it together. And, so that's, yes, I'm familiar with that for sure.
Yeah, and a little bit of that, what Mary had pointed out, Pisces MC, right? That because MC, it's like a part of your career to be Piscean, which is again water and intuitive, and it has an antenna up at all times and can kind of like tell. And then Pisces is the sign of the martyr, so it's like in your career, as a educator, 9th house too. That's even like 9th house education. Full of shot self in foot. So it's like definitely when you have been in your career line of work of Pisces, which is like helping people to escape, helping people to see the bigger, we're actually all connected, sort of vibe, right? We're not all separate. We really should be helping each other in this intuitive, beautiful way, right? Pisces has that all over it. And it feels like it's a hero or a victim. And so if Pisces feels like if I'm not winning, if I'm not a hero, right? If I'm not coming through, then it can feel like I'm kind of miserable, miserable. If it feels like it's let people down, right? Like if you felt like you let somebody down,
Oh my God.
right? It's like misery times a million.
Yes. Big trigger, big trigger for me.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the Folis represents uncorking things too early, right? Too soon, you know what I mean? Like, so you've probably experienced some things like that in your life.
We're letting something expose too early or doing something too soon.
Yeah, it's the story is Hercules comes over to this healer's house, and the healer is a centaur named Pholus. I think this is this one, yeah. And then unfortunately, Pholus drops the sacred wine that he was supposed to be sharing with Hercules too early, and it explodes. And then like Hercules was hiding. And so when the thing exploded, then everybody came to them and started attacking Hercules, and Hercules died. That's that story. That's the lore with this thing. So what it is saying basically is like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. And now, everything's happening. Or I trusted somebody, or right, kind of the things that you were talking. I trusted too early. I dang it. And I shot myself in the foot.
No, yeah, in a certain context, that absolutely makes sense. So yeah, I'm on board now. Okay.
Alrighty, cool. It has something to, yeah, it's like, I don't know what the specifics are. They're just these are the definitions for this sign in this house and what MC means, which is career. But it's saying that you need to be in a career that is teaching, right? Is somehow in fantasy, is teaching the five senses, how people can pay attention to their five senses. Right. And communities, 11th house is communities, and it's hopes and dreams. It means that it makes you very happy when you see communities of people who maybe aren't normally coming together, and they are interacting with see, taste, touch, feel, hear, right? Five senses.
Definitely, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever wanted to start an orgy at one of your conferences? Like just get the ball rolling?
No, I mean, oddly enough, and we're talking about this, and a lot of things I do and I teach are very sexually related.
Yeah.
And I am a very sexual person, but almost in the most boring of ways. So I've not done that, but I like I used to a friend of mine and we started a party several years ago. This happened like every other week. I was able to integrate teaching into, and there was a lot of teaching into it. So it was basically a big classroom with whips and chains, right? So it was a lot of fun.
Love it.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've never tried to initiate an orgy at a conference. It's an idea, though.
I know, right? Get everyone to smell the same smell. Get, I don't know. But it's kind of like a community. It also means that you appreciate friends who have been around a long time, or would appreciate. Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Taurus likes things to, it's the place in our charts where we don't want things to change so much, But yeah, so this is why. So you have a moon in Taurus, and moon in Taurus usually is an indicator of extra sensitive five senses. Okay. So like, it's like extra touch, extra smell, extra taste.
Especially it's like Jupiter right on top. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, right? It makes it louder. It makes it easier for you to actually pick up on those things.
Yeah.
Makes it a bigger deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what sort of the cliffhanger you went with, because we had to reschedule this and you told me, oh, smell is a big deal for you, to the point you have no idea. I mean, it's like, if you wanted me to clean an entire house within a 2-hour span, hide a smell, find a terrible smell that I can't find, and I will tear the place apart until I find the smell, and the place will be absolutely spotless by the end of it. But also touch, I'm very hyper tactile. So doing things in a sensory related where I'm also getting feedback from my partner is very, like, if I'm just going to sit with you and I'm going to pet you, or I'm going to be doing this sort of thing or something because I just touch. It also means I will strip down naked to find the eyelash in my bra that's bothering me. So it's like, it's all the things at the same time. Yes, that is
All of the senses are
validating
heightened.
all of that. That is that.
Yeah, you were born with it, and something about it is going to be useful for you creating community or teaching in a community, or right. You could even talk about minute pleasure, like anyway, those just kind of interesting things that you would take for granted that other people would be like, you can what? Right?
Right.
Like, you have the superpower. So you would be an excellent teacher to teach people how to go about doing kink, right? Like baby kinks. You'd be the ideal teacher in this way because you'd be able to pay attention to what they're doing and then read how they are understanding it, and then take it to another point, take it to another set, take it to another space. Yeah, that's amazing. You should know that's awesome.
It is. Thank you for validating.
Yeah, that's a
It's also
superpower.
something in community too, right? Building and nurturing communities. Because that's what this 11th house, where you have all this Taurus is. It's the house of friendship and network. And with your moon being there, it means that your heart is kind of involved in communities or cares a lot about you, right? So when we see an 11th house pact like this, we're like, it's never a bad idea to kind of curate your own community, right? People that you trust or that you would want near you, right? This would be really important to your inner world, your moon.
Yeah, no, people are incredibly important to me, and one of the things I really drive home is the importance of community. Because even for people who don't like to go outside, I'm like, there's Discord. There are ways that you can get involved. You can make friends.
Right.
You can build your community. But it's so important in this world specifically to have that. And I mean, it's so, I don't have to mask the mama bear, and I can be the freakster, and people know about it, and it's okay. But it's also a place to be safe, and I like to be safe. Other people like to be safe. I like to make people feel safe. So it's, people in community are very important.
Yeah. Yeah, people in community.
I could see where you'd kind of teach community also in a way, because you have so many teaching things in your heart, but also like all this Gemini is interesting, right? Your 12th house. 12th house is typically where it's a more spiritual house, but it's a little bit foggy for us, right? We have a harder time seeing our own 12th house. Yours is Gemini, right? So that's what usually houses like our curiosity is Gemini. So maybe curious around kind of like what happens after we die, spirituality, right? Kind of the what's next? What are we all here for? You have Eros in here.
Yeah, I was looking at that Eros too. I have Eros a little bit in the 12th house, and I was just thinking, do things turn you on that are a little bit forbidden, like books about forbiddenness, or books about priests? Those are like books
like the Forbidden Loves and the Star-Crossed section.
Yes. So Gemini is like the storyteller, right? Trickster, funny, silly, right? But it's curious. I'm curious. I'm looking at things. And then Eros is kind of what turns us on a little bit, like, and then yours is turned on by stories, twists, tricksters, that are also spiritual and mysterious, and maybe I have a telepathic connection here.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to like think what you said and trying to relate it. I guess, I mean, some of the things that turn me on and things I like, I would like to experience or have experienced are fairly taboo, that are exciting. And I don't know. I'm very demisexual, which is why I said that I'm kind of boring, and that I have to create. I'm not going to be the one that. Well, I don't know. I used to really like group sex back in the day. It's
Yeah, right.
it's group sex is a thing, but that intimate sex is totally different. I have to have a connection with someone.
Yeah.
So that could maybe play into that. I don't know.
That you know what, that feels more like that Virgo Mars to me as well, right? Where you have to feel like it's right. It has to feel right to feel good.
Right.
And if you feel like somebody is, if there's any component where you feel like, this person is cheating, or this person is like not in the right headspace, it's almost a turn off.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't interact with you fully, right? Mars is like, I will take all of you, please.
Right.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, Eros is the one that likes a little bit of forbidden, and then like some or mysterious, right? And this could be, I mean, Scorpio alone is taboo. Gemini can be more like age play, because it's like young, mature, right? But Gemini is androgynous as well, right? As a Mercury is androgynous, neither male nor female. It can have a masculine or feminine edge to it, depending upon its relationship to the sun. But it's like the key players in here are anti-vertex. This means that you're going to meet people in your life who are mysterious to you, who are going to come to you for information, right? For telling stories that are of service, right? Because the 12th house is service or suffering. So if I'm not serving with my curiosity, then it makes me suffer. So something about your erotic nature, if it's not serving, then it suffers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. So Eros is here. And then Pallas, which is wisdom. Again, if you're not using your wisdom of service, then it can be suffering. It's almost like I have Pallas in my 12th house as well. That's interesting. So if I am not using my wisdom as a means to connect people on an emotional level, then I find my life doesn't feel as fulfilling. If I'm not serving with this part of me, if I'm not serving with my wisdom, and yours would be how to use online wisdom, how to use apps on, wisdom, like puzzles, right? Gemini is like puzzles, something about
technology,
technology.
like you were saying with communities.
I love puzzles.
Yeah.
Puzzles. Yeah.
Yes, Gemini loves people with a lot of Gemini really tend to enjoy puzzles.
Bookstores, maybe, with the Eros thing.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. I mean, I used to read a lot, and oddly enough, at a certain point, I mean, I could devour a book in a moment, and then it got to the point where I just simply couldn't read anymore.
Yeah. What about books read aloud, books online? Like,
I have been doing that lately.
Yeah, that's good. That's the solution in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Vesta holds a torch for. So Vesta, I've talked about on this show before, and so some of my listeners will know that I've talked about Vesta, which is what we hold a torch for, but it's also where we have the power to forgive people of sins. So Vestal virgins back in the day, they if one looked at you, like if you looked at if a Vestal virgin, a high ranked one, looked at a gladiator and the gladiator looked back, then that gladiator could be set free, right? Like didn't have to gladiate anymore. They had the power to get people off of death row.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, if they had sex between the age of 8 and 30, they were buried alive. So that sucks. Yeah, that's the vessel virgin. And their whole job was to keep the hearth, the home lit, that fire lit, right? In a person's temple. So it's kind of like you have the ability to communicate even online, your intuition, right? Like you'll be able to communicate it, that yeah, just that forgiveness, right? That teaching people how to not shame, right? You have the power to I'm feeling foggy even just talking about it, like the 12th house. Like I'm like, oh, oof. But yeah, you have an emotional, spiritual, other dimensional, because Gemini also seems to deal with like dimensions on this earth sort of wordage. So like on this earth, you could say, I have the power to set you free from shame. On a spiritual, you had yourself incarcerated before this moment feel. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah. No, I actually love having those moments with people, kind of freeing them of the burden of their own mind sort of things, dispelling the stories they've been telling, or the actual issues. I did this. Okay, now what are you going to do? What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Just the moving forwardness of things. So sweet.
Oh, I love that. I love it so much. Yeah, but 12th house is hard to describe. But I love that in doing this show, I've had to mention Vesta so often because people tend to have it here or here or here, right? Like it's a resource, or it's on their body, or it's in that 12th house, or it's for a community. And, so I kind of love seeing where she shows up in people's charts, because she has a power there to hold to help somebody come alive where before they felt not free.
Mm.
Right. That's
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
But because all of this is so much on this side, this is you learning about yourself. This is you learning about yourself through your friends, your community, and through your 5 senses.
Mm.
Right. And this one is you learning about being curious about how to heal people on sort of an emotional level, using online, using tech, using those things, if that makes sense. So if you are doing those things, then you are winning.
Yeah. No, and actually, I mean, it's interesting. The teaching and healing of people, to me, kind of what I do, and especially in the context of what we do within Kink and BDSM, being able to teach people that it's okay is very healing. Teaching people how to express through their bodies and how to help others, feel pain, to release pain, that's very, very healing. So I've always kind of felt like it was very, very much a one bag sort of thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it feels like you're reaching an intuitive. That intuition is what what people are talking about when they're talking about spiritual, right? Like that's what it is.
Right.
And so that is what you have a lot of. And then to be able to channel it into the earth, the 5 senses, making emotion tangible for people, right?
Uh-huh.
Making the feelings tangible for people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like I think too many people who work in the sex and kink world don't know that they're like kink shamans, so to speak. You know what I mean? That they are, the person who's going to take you through a journey and to have you be different on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really, I mean, because yes, it can be very tangible, very transactional, very, white label, and not really given the reverence that it could, versus just, And that can be felt, if someone's like, oh, you want me to spank you? I can spank you. And then they spank them and they walk away. Their ass is red, but they're still empty. Nothing's really happened, and so, yeah, there's so much deeper that we can go, but, some either don't realize it. They don't see it in themselves, or they don't, they've not experienced it themselves, or, they don't care, which is fine too, do your do. But yeah, I like to get all the touchies in.
Yeah, the touchies. I actually have this interesting question. Like, what would you do in this scenario, in this situation? Other than walk away, which everybody should do, I feel. But there was a situation recently where there was this couple who came to a fun event that was definitely like a sexy event, right? Everybody knew that this event was going to have sexy stuff going on. And there was this couple who came, and he seemed uncomfortable with her playing with other people, right? And he was saying with his mouth that he was okay with it because logically he should be okay with it, right? But his whole body language was, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. I can't stop thinking about this, this thing that's happening over here. And in that moment, I thought, one, that's above my pay grade. I have no idea what to tell you. You are stuck, right? But two, I wished I could have, like I wanted to, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not the savior. I'm going to walk away. But still, what would you do if somebody were sort of in their own mind, I suppose, stuck?
I mean, I would approach them and ask them if they needed help. Hey, do you want to talk about it? How are you doing? You look uncomfortable. Do you need, whatever. If they approached me, then that would be another thing as well. And just asking, I would talk to them about, how did you get here? What got you to this place, and what got you to this place with her playing? Was there a conversation? I would kind of try to dissect the situation and then give them advice as to how to handle it afterwards. Because if they had the conversation of, hey, yeah, we can both play and everything is going to be great, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be so hot because porn tells me it's hot, and porn doesn't lie, right? So could be able to go home and have that conversation. But I would, it is because I get over involved,
Yeah, very generous.
Put my whole body into things that it just doesn't belong.
Yes.
Nose and all. So
oh my God, me too. I love you so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but yeah, I would talk to them and, help them realize this is where you're at. Yeah, I've gotten myself into these things, because some things you don't know until you're there. How are you going to handle that? I don't know. It's not happened to me yet. I've personally just recently gone through that myself, and I had to put the brakes on something I thought I wanted so badly to be okay with. And I wasn't, because of just where I'm at the moment. So, and that's fair. We're all in different places. So yeah, I would butt the hell in. That's what I would do.
I found myself doing that. And then I thought, is this how I want to spend my night?
Right. Yeah.
And then I went, no, I don't. So then I just told him I excused myself very politely, and left.
Yeah.
But I like that. So you were like, I would ask questions. Where did this originate from?
Right.
That's what you were going for. You were going for that early feelings. What were the early feelings that you were feeling? Maybe bring yourself back to there so that you can have an easier time seeing where you are.
Yeah. Or even, if she was playing, let her finish. Obviously, don't drag her out of the middle of a scene, but say, hey, can we calm it down? I'm feeling a little triggered, and I'd like to talk about it afterwards. You can put pause in the middle. There's always, call yellow in the middle of the thing, and just pick it up later.
Right. Call yellow slow down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that. I love that thought, right? Yeah. Just asking them where did that feeling originate from? I'm going to remember that, and then still not do it. Just kidding.
So that happened to you at a party? That's so sad. Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the person who's like, who needs glitter? Like I just want to sprinkle it, And so I think all sexual healers, right? All people who are interested in this space of, tangible healing, sensual healing, put you in a sense of rightness, feeling rightness, feeling like you can flow, I think that is super, super healing. I think I wish there was a temple somewhere that I could just like be a part of. And then people come and they're like, these are the things, and then be like, here's what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to live in a world like that.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe someday.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I've built my perfect dungeon in my head over and over again. So my campus, I guess you could say. There's not just one dungeon. It's just there's lots of stuff going on.
Well, not just one dungeon.
Why have one dungeon when you can have a campus?
Campus. Oh my God, the Harry Potter of Kink, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, totally. Well, that is pretty much our time.
It's great. This has been great.
Right? It feels kind of good, right?
I've taken a bunch of notes, so that's what I've been doing over here. And wow, yeah, there's a lot. It's really cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see the ways in which like we will be in our own head about how I'm not enough, I'm not expert enough, or all this stuff isn't amazing, whatever, everybody else, and comparing ourselves. And then when you look at your chart, you can see I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. I'm doing a not easy thing. Let me tell you, I've seen some charts that they fell off a log and they've been lucky ever since. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't know, I'm just at the right place at the right time. And it's like, yeah, fuck you. I see your chart, So those who have a much harder chart, one that is more like, I don't know, but kind of like this, or I don't know, but, paving pathways, cutting new ways, right? Being cardinal like a Cancer is.
Right.
Cutting new pathways is not easy. So you love knowing when you're doing whatever you set out to do, you are nailing it. It's going great. It's just now you've got to learn the lessons, right? The
Such bullshit.
Yeah, right. Knowing those things and then being able to be like, oh, this is bullshit, right? And then, friends can do that. Friends can help do that.
Yes. I love friends that do that. That's awesome.
Lots of Reiki sessions or whatever. Just like sit there and massage tables. Please be on a massage table,
Well, I'm come from a spiritual background. Like our growing up, we didn't really have a religion. Our parents just let us believe what we wanted to believe. And all of us believe really weird shit.
Yeah.
And so I raised my kids in metaphysics, and the metaphysical church that we were in, we kind of had to unlearn some of this stuff. Too airy fairy, and really kind of to bring it down to like a more usable sense. And recently I'm like, I kind of want something, but I don't want to go back to the thing I just unlearned.
Yes.
That's not fun.
Right.
So yeah, just looking, I don't know, like yoga class. I haven't really figured out what is going to be the next thing that fills that spiritual void.
You know really. What? I've been thinking about that topic a lot, actually, and we've had several people who I know who also feel similar. So I don't know, maybe we can host something sometime, like, where we just come and we're like, I don't know, and then I have like cards, that you can shuffle through. They're like sort of deep emotional questions that could be like a topic for discussion. Like I thought about it a little bit,
Yeah, I've been part of circles like that before. That's really fun.
Yeah, right. Everybody's kind of like, this is my thought. This is what I grew up with, but I don't know. But I thought, like, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's nice to be in a place where you can be openly vulnerable. You can be openly, I don't know. Right? Openly like, I don't fucking know. I know something. I like how I feel about this, but yeah.
Sweet.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Astromanics.
Thank you so much for inviting me along. This was awesome. I appreciate both of you and all your time. And yeah, we're gonna keep connecting because we're definitely going to be connecting.
Right? Because everything's pretty good and like, oh, we understand some real. There's something nice about that when somebody knows a real.
Absolutely, for sure.
Oh yeah, astrologers can definitely go, oh, I get it. Let's talk. You know, right? Or not, even if you don't have clarity, you know themes.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, feelings matter.
Yes, they're important.
Yeah, totally.
Very valuable.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I could talk literally all night.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want to crawl into a hole now.
Go decompress,
Yeah.
rebuild, regain. And thank you too so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank
It
you.
was really great meeting you.
Thank you for doing the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Healing people one person at a time or more.
Or more, you know, more is good.
Yes. All right. Check her out. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.